Now, my next guest has had an incredible career, from playing an injured pilot in The English Patient to the terrifying Voldemort in Harry Potter, and of course, most recently, his Oscar-nominated role as the Dean of the College of Cardinals in Conclave. Now, this week, Ralph Fiennes is back in the cinemas playing the Greek hero Odysseus. Ralph Fiennes is here in the studio, and I had the pleasure of getting a sneak preview of this movie just yesterday, Rafe, and it's so powerful. And it's Odysseus returning home after 20 years away. And this is a story that some of us might remember from school.
Yes.
It's a story that might resonate with a lot of us, but to see it come to life the way it is on the big screen is so powerful. And you feel very pleased to be part of this. It was a long time in the making.
It's the project of the director, Umberto Pasolini, who had this idea of taking the last chapters of the Odyssey, the return of Odysseus to the island of Ithaca. So it's not the story of his journey with the monsters and gods and the one-eyed Cyclops, none of that. There are no gods in it. It's very sort of pared down. It's simply the story of Odysseus returning and claiming his home and returning to his wife, his queen, Penelope, and also dealing with his son, who's never really known his father. So in essence, it's a family story.
Very much so. And this is why I think it resonates. We talk about, yes, gods and Greek mythology and a story you know from school.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly relevant for those very reasons. Today, it is about grief, loss, love, reconnecting families.
And the background is war. And of course, we have these terrible wars going on, particularly in Ukraine at the moment.
And there's a very powerful scene, I'm very aware of sort of giving anything away, but when Odysseus and his wife Penelope come together again and they speak of becoming friends again after having these 20 years. And she always believed he was out there. Everyone else thought the king was dead.
Yes.
But to see this reconnection again, it was really moving. So that, for me, just resonated, I think, with what's going on in the world today. Like you say, there's so many wars. People are coming home and having to get to know themselves again and their families.
I think it does play to that sense of trauma and stress after conflict. And we've been through so many conflicts the last few years. I think sadly, war is a condition of humankind, I think. I think we've always hoped somehow wars will finish, but they never do. I think that's why the Odyssey and the Iliad, the Trojan War, is this iconic representation of the horrors of conflict. And there's a moment when I remember, as Odysseus, remember the war and the Trojan horse. And I think the whole of the background is the suffering and the horrors of war. And out of it comes this return to home, to his wife, to Juliet Binoche, who's a wonderful Penelope. And as you say, the scene at the end where there's a kind of a possibility of harmony and coming together and forgiveness and reunion.
Yeah, Juliet Binoche, you mentioned there, I mean, she's just simply awesome, isn't she?
And she is awesome.
A reunion for both of you, again.
we hadn't worked together since English Patient. I was filming in Georgia, in Savannah. She was filming in Atlanta. Umberto had said, we need to make this, Rafe, and I said, we've got to get Juliet. And she's here in America, not far away. Juliet came to visit me. We went to the local bookshop, we bought a copy of the Odyssey, and we took a selfie of ourselves for Umberto, saying, we're going to do this.
And did she say yes straight away, then?
She loved the script. Well, she's, understandably, she's very, she's careful about the choices she makes. But she loved the script, and I think we both felt Umberto's script was really good. It was very intelligently pared down, and we both were drawn to the script and to Umberto's vision.
And the story and everything else. It was very important to you to go through this incredibly rigorous exercise regime. There was a transformation. It was fairly brutal, wasn't it? You really took it seriously.
Well,
let's call it hardcore.
I knew from the script that I would have to, a lot of my body would be exposed. I have just a blanket, or only a blanket and a kind of loincloth thing. And I think this is a man he's a soldier, he's a warrior, he's sailed across the oceans, he's rowed, he's rowed that kind of rowing.
Yes.
Not that one. And he's swum and he's been stressed out. So and he hasn't eaten much.
Is it true that you described your trainer at the time that you just wanted to look like a piece of rope?
I said I look like a piece of old rope. Yeah. So there's a lot of extremely strict diet with very, very highly controlled carbohydrates, a lot of protein, a lot of weightlifting and running, and
no sweet
Dan
treats.
is my trainer.
No
Dan.
bread.
No, I say to Dan, can I have a glass of wine? No.
Oh dear.
Can I have another slice of toast? No.
And you stuck with it. You were very good. It paid off. It paid off. You looked the part. Can we just mention Conclave, please, Rafe? Purely because, well, another extraordinary film which ended up mirroring real life, of course, with Pope Francis being in hospital and suffering with pneumonia. Another, again, an extraordinary movie that got the entire world talking.
Yeah. Well, it was a great novel by Robert Harris, and Peter Strawn adapted it, and an amazing director, Edward Berger. And yes, I mean, thankfully, Pope Francis has come through a health dip. But, of course, there will at some point be a conclave. Inevitably, there will be.
Yeah.
But I think this was an insight into, the sort of politics that can go on, even among priests.
Yes, absolutely. Don't we know it? Can we just mention Theatre Royal in Bath?
Yes,
you can. This is between June and October, yes?
Yes, I've been invited by Theatre Royal Bath to do a short season of plays. So we have 2 new plays, one by David Hare, about the relationship between the great Victorian actress Ellen Terry and her acting partner Henry Irving, which is a wonderful story about their relationship and the makings of theatre of the time. And I'm directing my first Shakespeare, which As You Like It, and then a wonderful new play by fantastic writer Rebecca Lenkovitz.
So we can see you
Hotel.
live in theatre.
In the summer. Yes,
in the summer.
Can,
The return is out in cinemas tomorrow. It's really powerful and beautiful, and you are superb in it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Great
so much
talking to
indeed.
you.
So lovely to see you. Hi there. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel where we upload new videos every single day. You can click here if you're interested in this video, or head to the homepage for some more amazing content.